Codrina, nice to have you with us here at the .NET Developer Conference in Cologne. It's not your first time you've been here. I suppose it was 3 years ago that you have attended the conference the first time. Compared with 3 years ago, how's your impression this time?
It's bigger. I feel it's bigger. There are so many people here. I love it.
Yeah, great. You're holding a talk about building AI with Azure Foundry. Can you walk us through the typical end-to-end workflow from creating and fine-tuning a model to deploying it into a production environment and highlight what's unique with Microsoft Azure Foundry's approach?
Yeah, sure. So first thing, you'll need to define what you want to do with AI, because that's the most important part. Then you go into Foundry and you'll find the playground. There you can play with all the models that you find available from a huge catalog. Once you have selected your model, you can fine-tune it, add your data, and then test it. It's really important to test. You can test it inside the portal. And then you can create all the things related to infrastructure. It's everything like in the platform. Once you have everything ready, you can set up different safety and security things. Everything is on the UI. You can set guardrails, for example, if you don't want your model to be biased and things like that. And once everything is ready, you have the code introduction. There is this magic button, open in Visual Studio Code, and you have all your app ready for you. Ready to go to production. So you have just one single pane of glass for everything. You don't need to handle lots of services. It's just everything in one place.
How has your experience been in real-time projects or in real projects at your work or in your work with that kind of producing or constructing software?
Yeah, so now, a little bit has changed because you have things to choose from. It's really easy. It's not really a low-code platform because you can still see all the code that's being generated, but it's faster because you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. So you just pack everything you need, you create some agents, build on your data, and that's it. So it's really easy.
Interesting, because I was just a little bit engaged in low-code systems like Maya from Mendix or OutSystems and so on. How would you compare this kind of producing or deploy or developing software from the low-code concept?
So I feel if you are a developer, it will be easier. For low-code and no-code are more for business people or BI analysts or BA.
Okay.
So if you know the basics, you'll know exactly what settings to put, what to have on your load. And it's really, you can see even under the hood while you're doing all these things from the UI. So it's still low code, but can also be fully code, because with Azure Foundry, you have also the full SDK if you want to really fine tune and check everything.
Or customizing the code base to modify your software.
Yeah, you have access to everything. And they actually just announced the new Azure AI Foundry IQ for big enterprise. So you
have
at
the Ignite.
Yeah,
yes,
last week.
Yeah, that's great. Are you talking about that?
Yeah, I will have a tiny bit on that because we need to keep on with the new things. But it's still in preview, but you'll have all the enterprise data, all your data in there. So create some kind of a more sandbox solution than the one that we have now. So it's still the same Foundry, but has new things that I'm excited to test in the next week for more, let's say, big real-life scenarios and this enterprise world.
Azure AI Foundry is being positioned as a key platform for developers who want to build their own AI model or models, several. What core problem does it actually solve compared to traditional AI development with Azure or on Azure?
Yeah, so if we look on Azure now, you'll need to create all the different services, not just your model. You need your vector search, your embedding, your database, and you'll need to create a lot of things on Azure. And Azure can be cumbersome, while on Foundry you can start, as I said, in the UI to create a model, and in the background everything will be created for you. So Azure AI Foundry still sits on top of Azure, but you don't need to handle things like, the chunking part, how the data is being created. You just create your tiny model and you can train it, and everything is transparent. Of course, you still have all the costs associated, so it's not that it's free, but it's all in just one place. So you don't need to go in Azure and find what you actually need.
I was attending in about mid-October an Azure meetup, an Azure meetup meeting here in Cologne from Florian Lenz. Maybe you know him. He's Azure MVP. And we had a talk of a guy from Oliver about the Azure Agentic AI framework. How does this framework help developers doing or building AI models on with Azure Foundry? Does they cooperate, the framework and Foundry? Because in that talk we had a certain point where Oliver, the speaker, just told us Azure AI Azure Agentic AI framework. It's difficult. Oh God. The Azure Agentic AI framework is designed to provide some assistance for developers using the Azure AI Foundry. Is that correct?
Everything is built on top on Azure AI Foundry. Even the Copilot part, everything is there. AI Foundry is also somehow agent first, so they put agent creation at the center of everything, similar to the framework. In Foundry, you can also create assistants and use other kind of models. So it's not only agent only as the agentic framework. That can be a little bit more technical. So you go into all the details and create everything. On Foundry, you are a little bit a layer up, but you can still connect your agentic AI with Foundry. It's all connected because they are part of the same big family, let's say.
Azure already offers a broad set of pre-trained models. Where does Azure AI Foundry fit in between using existing services on the one hand and building models from the scratch on the other hand?
So it's somehow in the middle, I would say, because you can use the models that you have and just use your data or create something right from the beginning. You don't have to really train intensively if you just want to adapt a model. If you create a model for scratch, that can be a little bit cumbersome because you need all the training part. But if you can also take an existing models, because there are plenty of them, and just adapt it. So you will skip the big training part that's behind that. So I think that's the main difference, but you can do both.
In your talk, you're also mentioning responsible AI practices. How does Azure AI Foundry help developers to ensure such things as compliance, transparency, or ethical use of AI?
So with Azure AI Foundry, we rely on all the principles that Microsoft itself builds everything upon. But we can also create safety as the first layer, so we can create some kind of firewall. In the UI, you can set up different levels like bias or harmness, and you can also customize based on your internal compliance. So there is different setups you can check and apply. And it's important anyhow to test and see how the model responds. For some features, you have some like a scale from 1 to 5. If you want it to be a little bit more, or less biased, depends on your use case, I would say. But it's all configurable, and maybe it's due to my cybersecurity degree, but I would suggest to start with this safety first and then develop everything, because we don't really think about it from the start, and maybe your AI will give you some ugly response because you haven't set up these kind of things. Yeah. It's kind of usual if you don't think of it, but in Foundry, and we'll see in the session, in the demo, there is a huge dashboard where you can set up everything and ensure that you comply with all this safety and security and ethic principles that are really important.
So your recommendation is start with these topics or with these questions, these aspects before you start developing your project, your Azure AI Foundry project.
Yeah, that can be a way to save time at the end, I would say.
Yeah, like almost in software projects.
Yeah.
Finally, how do you see the role of AI developers in the future evolving with platforms like Azure AI Foundry? Will they move from model builders to AI system orchestrators? Will their role, will their importance be diminished, or does it stay the same role or the same importance as they had in the past?
So I feel like they can be more of an architect of AI, I would call it, because they can just mix and match the models without needing to create everything from scratch, because the models are there. So if we take a car, the engine is already kind of created, so you'll need to build on top of it to bring your idea, to add the safety, and to create something and orchestrate everything. Like you can create different agents, put them and connect them as you want. But I feel like we as developer will never be, let's say, extinguished, will be even more important because we have all the knowledge and we know if something gets wrong. It's not that we'll look at it and say, okay, what now? So that's what I envision with this kind of platforms, at least.
So no more code monkeys, only software architects?
A mixture. I said software architect first, but with a...
But to be honest, a software architect should know how to code software or not.
Yeah, I think they usually are a developer first and then they become an architect. I don't think you can be an architect without getting your hands dirty in the code.
But that's a transition from developer to an architect. But that's not a static. But in my opinion, it's a dynamic process that's reversible, because every architect developing a software system or conceptioning a software system should think or rethink about the consequences he cause with his decisions in terms of software development, software being coded or not. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think we'll get to see exactly how this will be, but I feel that maybe devs will be more empowered to become architects now. So they don't really have to be like a full data scientist to work with this, but they also don't have to just start from scratch with just building models, because I think we have lots of them and maybe there is one that can help you. So take that and start. I like the word that use orchestration. So you need to have an orchestra, but you need also to know about music. Yeah.
AI system orchestrator instead of model builders.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's and it's mixed with the architect part. So I'm not sure if someone use orchestrator now, but maybe in the future we'll have something like that. Also,
we will prove that at the next conference where
Let's
we meet.
See.
For the moment, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
To talking to us and spending your time for this interview. Have a nice trip here in Cologne, and hope to see you soon in Mannheim or Cologne next year.
Thank you so much.
Bye.